Hey guys, ADHD here. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys every single house I've done so far in my cartoon house series. So basically, this is basically the world where I built all the cartoon houses you guys have seen so far. And I'm doing this for two reasons. One reason, an insane amount of you guys have been requesting this, and I decided to just go ahead and do this today. And number two is because ever since I started this series back, when I did the regular show house, basically the channel's pretty much doubled in size since then. So I just wanted to, a lot of people that are coming in new, like let's say for example, their first house they see from me is the Gumball house. Then in the comment section, they're like requesting, hey, could you build the regular show house? And I'm like, well, I've already done that. So I kind of want to do this, just kind of refresh everybody on which houses I've done and which houses I haven't done. So if you're going to request something, you can request something I haven't done yet. And then we can work from there basically. So, even if not everybody sees this video, at least like a lot of the newer people will see it. So then, if you see somebody in the comment section who's like, hey, do Hey Arnold's house, you could be like, hey, he's already done that one. So then, that way just kind of refreshes everybody. So that's part of the reason I wanted to do that. So anyway, it's got a lot of houses on here. We're gonna get started right now. I actually kind of was like hesitant on doing this video because it's not really, this is kind of just like the world where I build them and, basically do the tutorial. But eventually what I want to do is basically make all these houses into like a toon town. It's like a separate world, and get like, instead of doubles of all of them, get like one of each of them and make like a big toon town, like actual street and roads and everything. So, eventually you'll see that. But for right now, this is like kind of like a rough run through all of them. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started where we started off, basically with the regular show house, and then we'll work back over here, some of the bigger builds, and then we'll start going that way. So, starting off, we have the regular show house. This is basically the one that started off the series. This series is definitely my favorite series out of any of the series on the channel, just because anybody that knows me knows that I am like a huge like animation dork. Like, I love cartoons. Like from, cartoons from like the 70s, the 80s, especially my favorite ones are like the 90s to like the early 2000s, like, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, basically Foster's Home, like those kind of shows. And a regular show kind of has like one of those vibes for me. So that's why I really enjoy that show. So I was like, I have to build this house. And then after I built this one, you guys loved it so much. I was like, okay, I gotta do more with this basically, because, people were really enjoying these builds. And I just started building all my favorite cartoons pretty much. Like, I don't think any of the shows I've built so far are shows I'm not a fan of. I only really build houses of like shows that are kind of my favorites. That's why, I always say they're my favorite, because they pretty much all are. I haven't really built any houses so far of shows I don't like. I'd say the only, well, I'll show you which ones I don't really like as much, like shows that I'm not a huge fan of, but you guys requested, so I built it anyway. But all of them I at least somewhat like, otherwise I don't build them. So pretty much it though, like, I just went around the whole thing. We got their golf cart out here, it looks pretty awesome. Got the garage. We got Benson's office up here. There's no interior, there's only like a handful of the houses that have the interior. And the reason why, just to get this out of the way now, is because of cartoon logic. Like, basically, for example, this one's a little bit better, but like, let's say, for example, the Watterson's house. The Watterson's house has a small frame, but yet they fit, like, a bajillion rooms into it and stuff, and it's just because some of that stuff doesn't equate into Minecraft unless you're to make it like 3 times that size. And, there's only so much you can do as far as furniture goes, too, so I always just like to kind of make them like models of the outside, and then you guys can just kind of do whatever you want on the inside. So that's the regular show house. Let's move back here. So back here we have the Teen Titans Go Tower. This is one, again, was requested a lot. I'm a big fan of the show, but I'm actually more of a fan of the original show, which is over here. And this is the Teen Titans original tower right here. And this, I think, looks really awesome right here. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this build a lot. Really simple. It's a T at the end of the day, so it's not too crazy. And then down here is the mini T tower, which is basically a smaller version of that, because a lot of people thought that was too big of a build, kind of. So I decided to build this one. I think this actually does have a little bit of interior. Let me see. No, it just has like the flooring basically. But yes, this is basically just kind of like, if you wanted to have a house, like that one's too big to actually live in, really. You could have like a whole crew of people, but like this one's kind of like, if you want to live in the T tower, but a smaller version, you can actually use in survival mode. So I went with this one. And then back here we have Dr. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated, which I think I did an amazing job of. And if you ask me, it took me a long time, but I think it came out freaking fantastic. I want to go over them all, basically all the different builds, and just kind of tell you how I think I could have done better on them, and then stuff I liked about, how I did it and stuff like that. And the one thing I wish I could have done better is the sign. Like, His name is extremely long, Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I wish I could have put the whole thing like across, but I tried and like there was no way. Again, it's like the only way to have done it would to make like 6 times bigger than this, and nobody would have wanted to watch that, you know, something that long of a video. So, you know, I went with this just to actually like representative of the sign. I wish I could have put the text there though. That's the only thing of this build that I think I could have done better personally. So yeah, I really enjoy this one a lot. And then over here we have the model. And another question I always get is, why is there 2 of everything? And that's just because I build one as like a model and then I do it again for the tutorial. And I don't do them on separate worlds just because I don't really see the point to. And because I like to have the other one there for reference. Also, like, let's say like, you know, I'm in the middle of the tutorial and I'm like, okay, did I do this part right? You know, I'm not 100% sure. So I can just fly over here and, you know, check and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I did do it right. And then I can just keep going, you know. So usually that part's not in the video. I usually cut that part out. But sometimes it does happen where I'm like not 100% sure about where I'm going with the build. So then I have to just go double check real quick. So those are those builds right there. And again, every single thing you see here is in the playlist down below. Alright, so let's go to the next house, the Watterson's house. And this one has like 2 million. You guys love this video. It has like 2 or 3 million video views. I'm not even sure anymore. It's got a lot of views because a lot of you guys really liked it. And believe it or not, it's ironic actually because it's so tiny and simple looking. I had a lot of trouble with this house. I have no clue why. Like, for some reason, this thing was just so frustrating for me. Like, I honestly want to say this house is almost easier than that one. And that sounds really dumb, I know. But I don't know what it was that day. But I was just not on my game. I was just really off or something because I was having so much trouble with it. I think it was the stairs mainly. I think I said like 100 times in the video. It was these stairs. It was just, every time I put them down, like, even if I was getting them at the right angle, for some reason they just weren't flipping, and it was just like I was just going crazy that day. Like, for some reason the stairs would not work. And then back here we had all these stairs too, and the same kind of walkway down here. The whole thing, I don't know, it just sounds really dumb because if you look how small this build is, it should have been like the easiest one, but it was so difficult that day. I don't know why. But anyways, so that's the actual Watterson's house. Looks pretty awesome if you ask me. We have mailbox here, and yeah, awesome. One of my favorite shows. I even put the mailbox here because it reminds me of that one episode. I think it's called The World of, or the Watterson, or no, what's it called? It's, The World of Elmore, I think, where they actually, all the items become like, you know, they kind of tell you the story of like the inanimate objects and stuff. So I had to put mailbox there. One of my favorite shows. Alright, so the next one, you know, it's basically just double of this one. And this is just like the fence I put here and stuff. And that's pretty much it. Over here we have Clarence's house. Pretty simple again. He's kind of, you know, it's kind of raggedy and kind of messed up and stuff. And yeah, nothing too crazy about this one. But if you're a fan of Clarence, you know, definitely go check it out. Yeah, there's not really much to say about this house. And then over here, we'll start coming back here actually. And this is actually the Shell Raiser, I believe it's called, from the Teen Titans, or not Teen Titans, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You guys love this one as well. I'm a fan of it as well because it's, you know, it's big enough to where you can actually live into it. I'll show you guys real quick. It's actually big enough to live in, but you could also just kind of like have it for decoration. Like, you could easily make this into like a small survival house, and that's what I like about it a lot. And then over here we have the Powerpuff Girls. This is one of my favorite ones because this is one of my favorite shows. I still watch the show sometimes. I have the DVD set actually. Like I said, I'm a huge cartoon nerd, so I really love this show. And yeah, I have like the actual Powerpuff Girls, like, you know, not actually, but just kind of like representations of them flying out of here. You can see, and it just is, it's one of my favorite ones. This is actually based off the original show. The newer show actually looks a little bit different, but I don't plan on ever doing that one simply because I'm not really a big fan of that show, and most people don't seem to be either. So I don't know. I don't think I'll do that one, but really cool house if you ask me. Yeah, so then over here we have Camp Lazlo, and this is one of those ones, when I uploaded it, I knew it wasn't going to do well. Like, some of them I actually know when I make them, they're not going to do that well, but I just want to build them because I'm a huge fan. Camp Lazlo is one of my favorite shows. I can remember as a kid, there was this one summer between like 4th and 5th grade, I believe, and when this show was on, and like the entire summer for some reason Cartoon Network was playing this show like during the day, and I would just watch it just over and over again, like reruns basically. So like they would play like for the season, I think it was that season, they would just kind of play in like in just reruns, you know, back and forth, like, you know, for, I don't know why, but they just did. It was that and Baby Looney Tunes. And I remember just watching the show so many times and loving it each time. So I was like, you know, I want to build this house. You know, I know it's not going to get that many views because most people probably won't even know what the show is. But I don't really care. So I decided to do it. And one of my favorite builds because it just looks really cool. I got the jelly cabin right here. So Yeah, I mean, if it had done well, I probably would have built like the whole campsite, to be honest. I love that show so much. All right, and then over here we have Timmy Turner's house. Fairly Odd Parents looks really awesome in my opinion. One of the better, I never compare my builds to other people's, but this is one of the better, Fairly Odd Parents. Like I typically like to do houses for cartoons that most people haven't done yet, or anybody for that matter. That's why I haven't done like Family Guy or Simpsons. Just because if you really want to see those, you can just Google it. There's like a billion people that have done it already. I kind of like to do houses that haven't been done many times. This is one of those ones. I didn't see very many people that did it, and this is one of the better ones if you ask me. Like I said, I don't ever compare myself, but this was one of those ones I really, really enjoyed how it came out. It was really difficult actually because I wanted to do the roof using stairs like I do typically, but I couldn't get. It wasn't. I tried to use, I believe it was netherrack stairs, and it was red, but it just didn't look good. So I had to go with the wool. And then the way their house build is like, again, that cartoon logic, how Timmy's room is so big, but yet like his room is actually like half the size of the rest of the house. And it's cartoon logic, and it drives me crazy because I can only do so much using Minecraft because like cartoon, the artists for cartoons, they just kind of draw the house, and then like, inside it could be like this gigantic place, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's one thing that's always stressful for me doing these. And yeah, here's the other version of it. And next up, this is one of my favorites. Yet again, another one, when I built it, I knew it was not going to do, like, fantastic. I know whenever I do, like, the more 90s Nicktoons, like, this is 90s, I think it's, like, early 2000s. So I knew when they made this that, like, when I made this that it wasn't going to do that well. I just wanted to make it because it's one of my favorite shows. And, if you're not having fun, there's no point in making videos anyway, you know what I mean? So it's all about having fun and, creating stuff. Obviously I want to create stuff you guys like, too. But, I like to mix it up to where it's basically, half what you guys want to see and half what I want to build. So, this was definitely more on my side, though, because it's definitely really big, really awesome. We have all of his, Zim's, like, little, decorations outside here. And the house came out great. The only thing that I did not add to it that I wish I kind of would have now is actually the satellite on the side of his house. And it's not because I didn't want to add it. I just forgot about it, to be honest. To be honest, I just completely forgot about the satellite. I don't know why, I just did, and that's something I wish I would have added to it, but it's a little too late now. So yeah, definitely check this out if you guys want to see it. It looks really awesome if you ask me. There's actually, I'm getting too nerdy here. I was gonna say there's actually a DVD set that's actually his house itself that comes with the DVDs in it. So definitely check that out if you want to buy it. It's really expensive though. And then over here we have We Bare Bears, and this is one of my new favorite shows like right now. Like this show is so well done. Regular show's actually ending after this season, and I think this is a good show to kind of, take its place in a sense. I mean, obviously nothing can replace regular show, but this is one of those, shows I think that can, at least entertain people, close to what regular show did. And I think I did a pretty good job on it. You have the trash cans out here, their basketball, the court, everything I think looked really good on this one. And I'm really glad that they had this house over here, like a little house extension, because this is where I was able to have the door. And it's pretty spacious in here if you look around. It's pretty big. I mean, it looks kind of small from the outside, if you were to just look at it from right here. But it's actually very spacious once you get inside because it backs up so far. So yeah, that's that part. And it makes for an interesting house. You kind of actually feel like you live in a cave for a bit there. Alright, let's keep going on. And then over here, again, it's another one of these. And then right here, this is Courage the Cowardly Dog. This one was another one of those houses I thought was not going to do very well when I made it. But then it ended up doing surprisingly well. I was like, okay, great. This one I enjoy. It's pretty cool, I think. Pretty simple. Not very much to it. It was a really easy build, to be honest. The only thing I wish I could have done better was the windmill. Just because the windmill in the show, it kind of comes like from a point, then it goes out, then goes back in. And in Minecraft, it would have to be like huge, and it would not be proportional to the house. So I just kind of made a windmill. That was pretty much it. And I think it came out awesome though overall. Alright, and this was one of my least favorite ones, to be honest. This is definitely my least favorite for a few reasons. One, Steven Universe, I like the show, but whenever it's a show I like, I always have a lot more fun building it. I always think it comes out a little bit better when I enjoy the show. But this show, I'm not a huge fan. It's not a bad show. I'm just not a huge fan of it. And so I don't know. It was just like I just didn't have as much fun building it, and it didn't come out as good as I wanted it to because like the slanting is basically in the roof. In Minecraft, you can only either point it or not point it. So it's like to make one part more pointy and then one part less pointy, I had to basically make the roof a little slouchy, and then therefore I also had to make it really big, and this is actually a relatively small home. So the whole thing altogether I really wasn't a big fan of, but I tried my best on it. A lot of you guys seem to like it, so I'm glad you guys did. But definitely, of any of the houses, it's probably my least favorite, to be 100% honest. Alright, we'll move on from here. Sanjay and Craig. Now this is one of my favorite ones actually, so I'm glad I can move from my least favorite to one of my favorites. Sanjay and Craig's house. And I'm a big fan of the show. I know most people don't like the show, but I actually really like it. We have their car here and the house. Pretty small house, pretty simple. It's got a lot of space in there actually. I think where's the door? I think the door right is in the front actually. Actually, I forgot the door. Oh, the door's on the side. There we go. I always try and make the doors kind of like hidden a little bit because I don't like to obstruct the actual look of the main house. So I always kind of hide them. I have it over here. And it's got a good amount of space here. You can have at least 2 or 3 floors up there. Got the garage area, you can put like storage and stuff. And then this little walk-in area, you can put like some couches and stuff. Just like a little lounge area. And I really like that one. And then next is Bob's Burgers. My God, was this one difficult. This was so difficult. I actually got this design off of a friend from YouTube. And I was able to contact him. But we weren't friends before this. I was actually trying to build the house. And then I was like just doing research to see if anybody else had done it, to kind of get inspiration. And then he had already built it, and I was like, his design's perfect. There's no way I can work with this. There's no way I could change anything about this. This is absolutely perfect. And then I was like, I messaged him like, hey dude, is there any way I could use this design and kind of change it up a little bit and just go with it? And he was like, yeah, sure, just give me a shout out. So I gave him a shout out. We're friends on Twitter, and everything came out great. This thing just looks freaking amazing. This is pretty much it's really derived from his design, but I changed quite a few things in order to customize it for myself, the way I'd want to look a little bit better. And this is one of the only houses that actually has a little bit of interior. Let me get a night vision real quick. So yeah, this is one of the few houses that actually has an interior. Most of them do not, because I guess like Minecraft logic or cartoon logic. But we have the actual restaurant in here. We have the the burger of the day board. Another one of my favorite shows. I'm gonna keep saying that because again, all these shows pretty much are one of my favorites, except for the Steven Universe one. And then up here we have this. Upstairs where their house would actually be. And if you're wondering why did I build the Steven Universe one if it's not one of my favorite shows? Primarily because everybody kept requesting it and wouldn't leave me alone about it. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it. And I kind of regret it because I don't think it came out as good as I wanted it to, but it's in the past. And the next one, definitely in my top 3 of the entire series, The Loud House. This is one of the best shows on Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon is one of my favorite networks and it always will be, just because of everything they've done, for the entire, animation industry and everything altogether. But they've had a kind of a dry run for shows, for a while. But this show is so freaking good. If you haven't watched it, watch The Loud House. It's an amazing show. And I built this one and you guys loved it. It got over 1 million views. The creator ended up retweeting or reposting it on Instagram. I think Nick Animation retweeted it, and it actually got Nickelodeon to follow me on Twitter, which basically almost made me cry as an animation fanboy, because you grew up your whole life watching Nickelodeon and they follow you on Twitter. That's amazing. So this is one of my favorite ones. It's probably, I almost want to say my favorite, but it's in my top 3 for sure. But it'll always, be one of my favorites because of everything that happened because of it. So many people enjoyed it, from people that made the show, all the way to the the network that basically runs the show. So it's just an amazing house if you ask me. You have their garden out here, you got their basketball court, their garage. I think the garage doesn't have an entrance on this one, but you can add the entrance. And yeah, it just looks really cool if you ask me. Very accurate. I mean, are some details that I couldn't get because the roof is actually black and the walls are actually white, but they are like a wood. It's almost like a painted wood, so I couldn't get that. So I just kind of went with these colors that were closer to it, because we don't have black stairs and we don't have white wood yet. The closest color we have is that, so I went with that. Another one. This is another one of the houses that I knew when I made it wasn't going to do that well, but as a fanboy of the show, Grim Adventures in Billy and Mandy, I just made it. So it looks really awesome if you ask me. This is Billy's house. Very spacious house. The thing is, guys, is maybe if you're not a huge fan of the show, maybe don't look at the show, maybe don't look at the house like, oh, this is, I have to like this show in order to build it. If you don't like the show, that's fine. But maybe just look at it as a house, because even as a house, I think this one looks pretty awesome if you ask me. So, just keep that in mind whenever you see any of the cartoon builds. Even if you're not a fan of the show, just kind of judge it like, I'm a fan of the house at least. Because maybe you aren't a fan of the show, but you can just build the house because you like the house. So that's one of these, one of these ones I think that most people didn't really like because, most people didn't even really know what the show was. And yeah, but I think the house looks good on its own, to be honest. Okay, another one. This one got a lot of hate, actually. Well, not like a lot of hate, but more hate than I typically do when I made it. And this is, what is it? Breadwinners. There you go, the Breadwinners house. I'll be honest, it's not the best show in the world, but it is a good show, I think. And I decided to build it, and some people loved it, some people didn't like that I built it because they were, like, they weren't mad because they didn't like the house, they were mad because they don't like the show, and they were mad that I built it because they don't like the show. So I was like, okay, that's not really, you know, it's kind of a dumb reason, but yeah. So then upstairs, it's actually pretty spacious, if you ask, well, not to ask me, it is pretty spacious. If you, you know, you can basically have like 3-4 floors up here. This whole down area down here can be something. It's a pretty big house, so I like it. I don't know. It didn't do. I think it did pretty decent, but a lot of people were mad at me for making it because they weren't fans of the show. Like I said, really weird reason. All right, next one, another one that I knew wasn't gonna do very well. There's a few houses like that. This is another one. This is Arnold's house, or his boarding house from the show Hey Arnold. And again, guys, all of these are down below in the description if you want to go check those out. So this is Arnold's house. We'll come in here real quick. Pretty simple, you know, pretty big. You could add a second floor if you wanted to. You could add, you know, different rooms, kind of make this into an apartment building. You know, maybe you could build this in your world, and this could be like an apartment building you rent out to people, you know, to different, like, you know, for like $10 a day or something. I don't know. I think it's pretty sweet if you ask me. And the top upstairs, this is actually pretty cool too, because you have Arnold's little like view out point here, and then we have like the, you know, the entrance over here, and then we have the fire escapes on the side as well. I think it looks really cool. So yeah, this whole build is one of my favorites. You know, it's actually a really good show, and believe it or not, they're actually making a movie about the show very soon, so can't wait for that. Oh my gosh, and this one over here, the Phineas and Ferb house. This one did so well. A lot of you guys loved it, and I think this is one of the more accurate of all the builds. This is probably almost the most accurate, I think. This one just looks perfect, almost, in my opinion. Like, there's very few details. Like, there's a lot of stuff, you know, that I can't get exactly the same because, like, again, Minecraft, a cartoon logic, you know, like, with a pencil, you can do like different shapes and stuff. With Minecraft, you know, you're very limited as far as how much you can do, you know, on a small scale at least. And this came out really awesome. It just looks really good. Coming inside, you have this nice entrance that gets in here, and then it's got a lot of space. Like this is, again, this is more than a one-person home. This is like a family place. You could have like all your friends living in it, and it's very, very spacious. So yeah, so let's move on to the next one. This one kind of speaks for itself. Take a look at the backyard real quick, though. The backyard is pretty sweet. Really like the views, and you know, again, you could always replace that ice with glass, you know, so it doesn't melt and stuff. But definitely recommend you build this one. One of the better videos in the series. All right, let's move on to the next one. And yet again, another one I knew wasn't gonna do well. This is the Rugrats one. I'm a huge fan of the Rugrats show, and this is pretty cool. It's their house. The thing is about their house is their house isn't really that iconic. It's kind of like you have to kind of, nobody even remembers what their house looks like, really. I don't think. I had to like do research. I remember what it looked like, but I even had to do research, kind of like kind of like remind myself of what it looked like when I built it. But it's, you know, overall, it's a pretty spacious house too. So, you know, if you wanted even just to build it for the look, even if you're not a fan of the the show, very, very spacious. So definitely useful in some way. Oh well, I'm just gonna do that for now because I forgot to put a what's called the case there. All right, and then, or not case, I mean a pressure plate. All right, here's the second one. And then over here, this one right here, this one took me forever. Just because of how much detail there is in this actual build. This is the Mystery Shack. I actually, believe it or not, I never planned on doing this one just because I was like, this just seems like a lot of ways it can go wrong. And it actually came out really, really well, I think. This was another one that a lot of people like loved, but I think a lot of people didn't actually build just because it was so much work. Like, you know, normally I can tell who built it and who just watched it just based off the amount of, like, you know, Instagram pictures I get and, like, tweets I get and stuff like that. And this one I don't really get a lot of, like, people, you know, it doesn't, the views don't equate to the amount of pictures I get. Like, normally, if I, you know, based off the amount of views, how many pictures I get on Instagram and Twitter, I don't think a lot of people built this one. I think a lot of people watched this one. So this is one of those. But it came out awesome, but I understand that it's a lot of work, definitely a lot of stuff going on to actually, you know, keep track of when you're actually building it. But some people did build it, and I'm really happy for those people because I think it's an awesome addition to have on any world. Alright, so we'll move on from this one. We'll take another look on this side. This side's a little bit plain. Not really much over here. This is the main side, like the showcase side pretty much. And they have the little fireplace down here. I think it looks really cool all together. Alright, let's move on again. And next we have Jimmy Neutron's house. This thing came out awesome. Again, it's very, very simple. and not like, you know, a lot going on to it. It's just a really simple house, you know. On the inside, it's pretty spacious. It's definitely, maybe not like a whole team could live in here, but maybe like 4 or 5 people. You know, to have enough space for everybody to move around and stuff. This is a good sized house, I think, though. Not too much to talk about on this one, so we're just gonna move on from here. Oh man, this is another one. I thought, okay, this is an opposite. I actually thought this one was gonna do really well, and it didn't. I thought this one was gonna do awesome because Rick and Morty is really popular, but I think it's got like a very niche audience that watches it. You know, so I don't think that fits my, you know, the niche people that watch me. So I just was like, okay, I understand. But I think this house came out awesome. It's pretty. It's not pretty. It's actually a huge house on the inside, and then you have the garage door over here. So you can, like, you know, this will be, you know, I think this is, yeah, Rick's garage. And then up here we have this area, 2nd floor. It's a lot of space in this building, so definitely something you can actually work with there. And yeah, again, I thought this one was going to do very well, but didn't do as well as I thought it was going to. But I still love it, and I'm really glad I built it. And it'll definitely be included on my Toontown when I build it. All right, we're actually getting to the end here almost. So next one we have right here is Rocko's Modern Life. Yet again, this is one I knew was only going to, yeah, it's going to have a small group of people that watched it. And this house is so difficult, really, really difficult. I don't know why. Again, some houses I just have, like, some houses, like, sometimes, like, this one was actually easier than this one. And it doesn't look like it would be, but, like, I don't know. I'm a weird builder. Like, sometimes I have houses that I'm like, okay, this is going to be easy. You know, I'll get through it, you know, fine. And then sometimes I have houses where it's like, it looks easy, and then I just have so much trouble with it. And that was this one. Because their house, I mean, Rocko's house is kind of, like, slanted inward. But you can't really do that in Minecraft. But I wanted to make it look, you know, kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like, I kept making it too big, then I kept making it too small, and it just took me forever to find the middle place. Because I had to keep building it over and over and over again. I basically built this house like maybe 7 times. And the final one was like when I was like, okay, this is good, this is perfect, I'm content with this. I'm still not 100% perfect on it. I still think there's like a size somewhere in between this and like up here that I could have finished with, but I'm good with that. Alright, so then the next one, this is a Dexter's Laboratory, and this one, again, I was surprised how easy this was. I thought this was going to be a little bit more difficult because like the way the shaping looks and stuff, but it actually came out really simple. The backside, not too crazy. You know, got the back door over here. I didn't do Dexter's Lab, but I even said in that video, if you guys want to see maybe like a smaller, you know, version of Dexter's Lab down underneath this house, let me know down below. Maybe I can do that. But again, if you want to build the actual house, the description, or not description, the playlist is down below. Then over here we have Eric Cartman's house. This is actually the end right here. And I actually have some other ones that I have like built, but they're just not on this world yet. And this is, you know, Eric Cartman's house. I have like 4 or 5 other cartoon houses that just aren't here yet. His house is extremely simple yet again. Nothing too crazy about it. Pretty basic. But you know, that's just how the house looks. You know, I can't control how the house looks. It's a pretty simple house, you know what I mean? But yeah, it came out pretty awesome. So let's go through all of them one more time just to zoom past them all as we end this up here. But yeah, guys, if you guys want me to do a huge favor and hit that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up for that one cut. I think this is done in like 1 or 2 cuts, which is not normal for me. So, you know, there's a lot of, you know, stumbles where I, you know, basically like said something wrong or, you know, my words slurred, but, you know, I tried my best. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you're new here, definitely subscribe. And again, guys, every single house on this actual video here is down below in the playlist below. So down below in the playlist, you can check that out, and it has every single tutorial for all of these houses. So, you know, like I said, I'm working on a Toontown, which basically is going to incorporate every single one of these houses into like a street, basically, and like a cul-de-sac type thing. So if you guys want to do that same thing, you know, feel free to do so. Definitely send me a picture of it. Do a video on it. That'd be awesome. Like, you know, do a video like, you know, touring your whole like Toontown, whatever you want to call it, and you're just basically showing all the houses off. That'd be awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it again, guys. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.